And this is Metal Nate,
Duncan Destroyer.
and we are here with Brian Fair of Shadows Fall. How's it going?
Going very good, man. Back in the hometown for a minute, so feels good.
Are you going to be hanging around town at all today? Or?
You know, I was hoping to make it home. My ride got stuck in a little bit of traffic, and by the time they got here to get me back home before I had to start doing things, it was too late.
Oh, well, our bad.
After the show, after the show, I'm gonna pop home at least for a minute and just like look at my couch and think of how amazingly comfortable it is, and then right before I can sit on it, have to leave to come back to drive to New Jersey.
And sleep on the bus, right?
And sleep on the bus. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of a tease today, but at least it's gonna be a great show. It's always a great hometown throwdown. So.
Sick. And how has Mayhem been so far? We're a couple weeks in, right?
Yeah, we're a few weeks in. It's been killer. Every show has been packed. The second stage is just set up so great because there's no silence in between bands. It's just one right into the next. It's such a great lineup. The kids have been going crazy from the first note to the last note, you know, and then the main stage lineup is just, you know, killer. So people are. You know, the show's been insane there, but the second stage I think has been one of the best ones we've been a part of, like that style. Like, you know, kids are here super early, thousands and thousands, so it's been awesome.
Cool. And you're out touring in support of Retribution. Dropped last year in September, right?
September, yeah. Yep.
And this is the 6th album since you took over on vocals. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, I'm not good at math.
So how do you guys keep things going, like keep evolving while staying true to your original sound?
Yeah, you know, we really just try and not even think about the last record when you start writing the new record. You know. Whatever ideas started coming out, like for this record, it ended up being a pretty aggressive, up-tempo album because the first songs we worked on were Public Execution and War, which are both just full-on, balls-out, fast and thrashy. And then we kind of realized, like, wow, all right, this record's heading in that direction. And I think a lot of it had to do with what we were listening to at the time. We had just come off the road with some heavier bands, too. Like, when we wrote Threads of Life, we had just toured with Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, and we were just listening to tons of, like, you know, over-the-top old-school metal and big arena rock type of stuff, and that definitely influenced Threads of Life, whereas this time around, we're listening to a lot of thrash and a lot of old-school death metal, especially, I know myself, I was listening to, like, a lot of early 90s death metal, like the first Morbid Angel record and the early Carcass stuff, so I think that really just kind of seeped into what we were, you know, our minds when we were writing. So I think that's what keeps it fresh, is just by wherever you're at the time, there's going to be new influences and new ideas and stuff like that. So.
Fair enough. And what was the recording process like for Retribution when you compare it to Threads of Life or prior albums like Fallout from the War?
Yeah, it was a totally different one for us because it's the first time we recorded in 2 different locations. Threads of Life we did all in LA at the Foo Fighters studio there out in Southern California. And this time, and before that, we'd always recorded just at Zeus's out in Western Mass. This time we did all the music at Zeus's, but then did the vocals down in Virginia with this guy, Michael Bisquette. And it was cool because Zeus has been with us since the beginning, knows our sound super well, knows how to get great performances out of us. And then with Elvis, who hadn't worked with us before, kind of brought some new perspective and just a different viewpoint, and also pushed us to try things he didn't know if we could or couldn't do. You know, so he definitely kind of got us out of our comfort zone a little bit, which was great. So, sorry. Yeah, the combination of the two is what I think was the coolest part.
And that was a good excuse to get Randy Blythe on the track, right?
Exactly. We just happened to be 20 minutes from his house, you know. Yeah, it was killer. They actually, Lamb of God did their guitars at the same studio we did vocals at, and it's this great little beach house right on the water, so it wasn't hard to convince Randy to come up for a day or two. He had just flown in from Indonesia, though, which was funny. As I call him, I'm like, dude, I'm 20 minutes from your house. He's like, I'm in Indonesia, you know. I couldn't be further away. So, like, you know, and he's like, oh, well, I fly home Tuesday, I'm going to sleep all day Wednesday, and I'll come out Thursday, cook dinner, and, you know, kick it for a minute. And we were tracking King of Nothing that day, and so after he finished cooking, we're like, dude, you know, the mic's already set up, you gotta lay something down. So, and it's a perfect line for him to sing, too, so.
So it was all spur of the moment, you had nothing really planned?
Not until we, got there that day, so, yeah. I knew he was coming down, I figure out a way to get him on the record, you know, because we've never had a guest spot, but Randy, we've been playing with them since they were Burn the Priest, so we've known them forever, and, you know, if we're gonna have someone on our record, it had to be someone that was like almost like family, you know, so.
So it must be cool then to be on the same tour.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, we open our set with that song, and we play kind of early in the day, and Randy's not exactly known for early morning wake-ups. So he actually sang it with us at Soundcheck the first day, but we haven't seen him since.
So I should try to get him down there today, I think.
Yeah, he's just too lazy.
What was your inspiration of covering Bark at the Moon?
You know, for us, cover songs kind of take two directions. Either just super fun songs that we love, like Bark at the Moon, Teasin' Pleasin'. We do Live Wire by Motley Crue live sometimes. Or showcasing a song that was a band that influenced us that no one knows, like Leeway, Cro-Mags, that some of the younger kids that listen to us might not have found out about. So yeah, with Bark at the Moon, it's just a great tune. No one ever does Jake E. Lee era Ozzy either. Yeah. And he's such an underrated guitar player. And Matt and John have a cover band, Cobra Kai, and they were jamming that tune, so like they already knew it. And you know, plus I got to sing about werewolves for the first time, probably an only time ever. So that was definitely cool.
Well, what was it like making the music video for it?
It was a blast, man. We pretty much just recreated the original, which if anyone's seen is the most over-the-top, campy, ridiculous video of all time. So we knew we couldn't make it like any sillier, but we just definitely tried to make it like even more ghetto. You know, that was our it was like we redid the original Bark at the Moon, but without the budget. You know, nice. So and we had a great makeup artist who, you know, got me all like made up like the wolf, and you know, it was killer, man. So it was a good time. It was freezing. We did it in upstate New York in an abandoned school when it was like 15 degrees out, but besides that, it was a good time.
Wow. And what influenced your lyrics most for Retribution? Like, what was your overall influence, I guess?
You know, this was probably more of a personal experience record, or just like more, not as political or philosophical as some of the other records may have been. And I don't know if that's just because a lot of the music was really aggressive, and like, so things weren't necessarily out of my personal life, but you know, more like kind of personal lyrics where they're more about like the human experience as opposed to trying to explain some sort of philosophy or, you know, discuss some sort of deep thing. You know, it was more like kind of immediate and more like I don't want to say simple necessarily, but definitely more direct. Okay. You know, so I think that vibe just became out of the music being so just like in your face and immediate as well.
And you self-released this on your own label, is that correct?
Yeah, sort of. We worked out a distribution deal with Warner Brothers, their independent label group, it's called. We were with Atlantic Records before for Threads of Life, and we had an option for another album. And honestly, the label at the time, everyone we had signed with was gone. The label was shrinking. Major labels are just kind of, not in a state of panic, but in a state of like refiguring out everything, because record sales are just so low right now with, you know, I don't know, music's free, honestly, so unfortunately on the internet, you know. So we didn't want to kind of get stuck in that while they were trying to transition. So we negotiated to redo our deal where Warner Brothers would distribute it, but we were responsible now as the label, where we controlled the budgets. We made the decisions on, you know, everything from, you know, what's spent on advertising to videos, mixing, everything. But also flipped the business model where we're at the top too, so we get paid first as opposed to waiting for every little part of the label to take their money and like, and you get whatever's left. Yeah, exactly. So you get whatever falls through the cracks. So, but a lot of it had to do with, like I said, the music industry just being so in a state of flux and change that we wanted to be proactive as opposed to waiting to see where the pieces landed. We figured, you know, we might as well try and stay ahead of the curve. So. Okay.
And I guess on Mayhem right now, is there a band that you're excited to see every day?
You know, I usually watch Hatebreed. It's from our signing table. Like we go out and do signings every time. It's during their set, but I watch them every day because there's nothing better than Hatebreed at a festival in an open parking lot. Like, it's gonna be as brutal as it gets. And I always feel bad. I don't care who you are when you go on after Hatebreed. It's never gonna look as crazy, you know, because they're just gonna set it off. So
brings it.
Yeah, especially in these situations, you know, and there's like 5,000 people in an open area with no seats. That's like, you know, waiting for a Hatebreed prison riot.
Just brutal asphalt, waiting for anyone in the pit.
Exactly. Anyone to go head first into.
And have there been any humorous, funny moments on tour so far?
There's always a few, man. My funniest thing is there's like 3 Oompa Loompas who are on this tour. I don't know if you've seen the Oompa Loompas out there yet.
Videos.
Yeah, and one of them is the most partying, happy dude you've ever met, but he's got this super low, like, I smoked 3,000 cigarette voice, but, you know, coming out of a Oompa Loompa, though, you know? And dude's just, like, partying, and he'll break into, like, a cappella versions of, like, Come On Feel the Noise and stuff. Like, that's as cool as it gets.
That's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
And what are you doing after Mayhem, after this tour's over?
You know, we're taking at least a little break. We have a DVD coming out. It got pushed back from, it was going to be the end of the summer. Now it's looking more like September, October, because we found a bunch more footage. It was shot in the Philippines, so we'll be, you know, at least promoting that. I don't know if we're going to be doing too many shows after Mayhem. We may do a short run to kind of end the year, but we've been out straight since September, and, you know, where it's going to end pretty much on a year, so we at least got to take some time off, so, but we'll see what happens.
And are you already gonna begin work on more recording, or are you gonna let this one
we might even start writing on tour if I can get home today. I'm gonna grab my M-Box, so we'll have a little portable little studio set up on the bus. Because me, Matt, and John were just talking about, we were like, even if we just get riffs down, if we get the ball rolling quicker, we'll be able to get in the studio pretty much right after we finish touring, as opposed to normally we take time, write, then go to the studio, and it's like, sometimes it'll take you up to like 2 years in between albums if you do that, just because once you give it to the label, it takes them another 6 months to actually put it out. So we want to try and stay ahead of the game, so maybe we'll start writing on the road. We always say that, and then everyone gets too drunk to actually be able to hold a guitar after the show. So, but days off can work sometimes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to interview with us today.
Pleasure, man. Hell yeah.